I have been creating videos on COVID protocols, especially for Nigeria, for some time now. And some of you out there have been asking me, Funke, like, why can't you create it for other African countries too? I recently received a comment from one of my subscribers. John Amphia, I hope I'm saying that right, left this comment. He said, very informative. Please, Nigerian princess, can you do a new COVID protocol for all African countries? Because can see that there are not a lot of people who are doing this. We love you, girl. Keep doing what you're doing. You are most appreciated. The truth is, I've been for some time wanting to actually create these videos because I know Nigerians are traveling to, all these major countries like South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Egypt. Like, a lot more Nigerians are actually exploring more neighborhoods around them and not just the typical Dubai, UK, USA, right? And I also feel it's valuable for also other people, other nationalities that are thinking about traveling to other African countries to make it easier for them to understand what are the key rules for them to travel during this pandemic to those African countries. The truth is, Africa is slowly becoming sort of like the go-to destination, right? For a lot of countries, for a lot of people out there. And I guess the more we make it easier for people to understand what exactly are the guidelines for going to those countries, the more we actually promote our continent. So I believe that is why these videos I'm going to create, right, are going to be super, super useful for not just Nigerians, but for the whole world, basically. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing the travel rules for going to South Africa. So if you're thinking about traveling to South Africa, this video is going to be super useful for you. South Africa being one of the biggest destinations, right, for travelers. And I believe approximately each year, over 10 million travelers go to South Africa. So I'll check my numbers, but I believe approximately around 10 million or more. Let me know in the comments section if you would like me to create for a specific African country next. So if it's your first time here, my name is Sassy Funke and I'm a Nigerian travel and lifestyle content creator, really creating to help Nigerians and Africans navigate travel better and smarter. If that's something that resonates with you or you feel you'll find value in it, please join this awesome community and click the red subscribe button. My aim is to get to 100,000 subscribers this year, so you can help make it happen. Click subscribe and give this video a huge thumbs up. So let's jump straight into the travel rules. I'll ensure to leave the link, the official government site where I'm getting this information from, especially because obviously rules change over time and you can always reference it to see what's the up-to-date rules for traveling to South Africa. Okay, so I'm looking at the rules right now. I'm ensure to pop it up here. This is on the gov.za website, right? COVID-19 travel, coronavirus, COVID. It says air travel. The following is an extraction from the Gazette 44124, 20th of January, but amended I think it's up to date until the October 22nd, 2021, right? It says for international and domestic flights. I'm going to focus more on the international flight segment of it because that's what you'll probably be interested in, right? It says international flights to and from the Republic, as well as domestic flights within the Republic are permitted. So flights are actually allowed to come into the country. Second point, it says international passenger flights to and from the Republic, right, are permitted subject to the following conditions. So these are the conditions that you need to be aware of. It says a traveler must provide a valid certificate with a negative COVID-19 test outcome recognized by the World Health Organization or equivalent local accredited authority, obtained not more than 72 hours before the date of travel, right? So you need to do a COVID test within 72 hours of your flight from your first port of departure. So for example, if you're traveling from America to South Africa, you're probably going to stop over in, quite a few countries or maybe one or two countries, right? The PCR test has to be done from your departure, 72 hours within your departure from the US, irrespective of where you're going to be transiting to. I hope that makes sense. It goes on to say that South African authorities reserve the right to verify the authenticity of the presented certificate, right? So important here that they're basically saying that they don't want people to bring fake certificates and they can actually check. They have a right to actually check if it's fake or not. It goes on to say point B, in the event of the traveler's failure for whatsoever reason to submit a valid negative test certificate in terms of paragraph A, upon arrival in South Africa, the traveler shall be required to do an antigen test at his or our own cost, right? So what they're saying here is that it's interesting. They're saying that if you've not been able to you didn't do a COVID test, and it didn't really specify here if it's PCR, but it says recognized by the World Health Organization, the type of test. So I have to check that, and maybe in the description box put more information for you. But it's saying that if you come into the country without a COVID test certificate, they're going to actually make you pay for an antigen test, which you have to pay for at your own cost, right? It's interesting because antigen tests obviously aren't as sensitive in terms of, a PCR test is much more sensitive, but they're saying an antigen test, you have to be required to do that, right? Point C, it says, in the event of the traveler testing positive for COVID-19, he or she will be required to isolate him or herself at his or her own cost for 10 days, right? Okay, this point here, it's saying that if that antigen test, for example, comes positive, you have to pay for isolation, right, for 10 days. It doesn't go into saying whether it's like government isolation, but it sort of implies it, right? Because that's the only way they can actually monitor that you're actually isolating for 10 days. So most likely you probably have to stay in government isolation, right? Which is similar to, I think similarly so in some other countries, right? That you have to isolate if you test at the airport, like Ghana, for example, but that's 7 days. So guys, just one other thing to mention is that aside from the requirements that I've shared, South Africa actually requires for you to fill out this form, right? It's like a declaration form. I'm going to link that form in the comment section below so you can print it out and fill it. It's not an online portal, it's just a simple form. I assume it wasn't on that particular website because maybe they'll give it to you at the airport, but just in case, make sure you print it out and fill it and give it to them if they request it. Point D, it states a passenger is required to wear a face mask all the time, may only remove the face mask during an emergency or when instructed by cabin crew to take off and observe social distancing. So I think they're talking here a little bit more about on the flight coming, what are the rules. I am going to scroll down. I don't want to talk about everything because some things are not really applicable to this conversation we're having now. Point K, it says here that an immunity passport, risk-free certificate, or passport immunity in respect of COVID-19 is not acceptable. So it's basically saying that you have to do the test. Like they're not going to there's no other option. You have to take the test, right? You can't say that because you have a past immunity from COVID-19 certificate or whatever, that you'll be able to enter the country. You need to take the test, right? It goes on to state on point L that an operator shall not board any passenger without a valid negative COVID-19 certificate. So it's basically saying that airlines shouldn't board people without having that negative COVID-19 certificate. Well, it just, point 3 here shares about, international scheduled operations and charter flights are only allowed at specific airports, right? Which are the major airports. I'm going to put it up here so you can see the major airports that people can fly into. So, okay, this is actually interesting. Point 5, right? It says with regard to international outbound flights, I've noticed that a lot of countries now are actually having requirements, like they're creating the requirements that you have to abide by if you're leaving the country. It states this. It said 5A states, subject to the travel requirements of the country of destination, a passenger must provide the operator with a valid negative PCR test certificate or a valid negative COVID-19 test certificate from accredited laboratory certified by the South African Health and Authority, basically, they have there in South Africa. Yeah, so they're basically saying that you need to do a PCR test or have a negative PCR test, either PCR or I guess it says negative COVID certificate, so maybe not a PCR too. So you have the option when you're leaving the country, right? Okay, I think that's pretty much it to sort of like summarize what you need with regard to going to South Africa currently as at today. If you guys have, been to South Africa recently, I know South Africa has received sort of, like a huge I don't know, with the announcements of Omicron and all that, their tourism industry has been affected greatly. But if you've been to South Africa and you've experienced navigating the airports there, like share your experiences in the comment section below. I believe it's going to be super useful for many out there. Don't forget to nominate the next sort of like travel protocol African country that I should deliver on my channel, right? Thank you so much for your support and love. And if you made it here, please leave a comment and just say, Sassy, I made it. Sassy, I made it. Thank you so much for your love and support. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a huge thumbs up. And I will see you on my next video. Bye.